You're Alright, before we get started, I want to thank everyone who was so patient with me in my Gerard Carmichael video where I just straight butcher his name almost the whole damn time. But thankfully the Jared video is over and I don't have to say Jared again for a good while. And with that, I want to talk about something a little different. I want to talk about Tom McDonald. Now, if you don't know who Tom McDonald is, well, consider yourself lucky. The rest of us unfortunate folk, Tom McDonald is a conservative rapper, which is a misnomer. You can't be a conservative and a rapper. Hip-hop is historically and permanently a form for challenging structures of oppression and aligning yourself with a side that pushes against barbaric politics. What started as mediocre staccato raps from another Midwest Eminem reject has turned into a brand for angry Republicans that are too suburban to be country and too insecure and full of angst to otherwise blend in a broader white culture. The rappers among them definitely won't be accepted into rap culture because we can see who they are. I mean, they'll get some YouTube reviewers to go to their tracks, maybe a couple million views on the same platform, but who do you know that's going to be bumping some Tom McDonald? Who's making a radio request for him? Maybe that weird racist kid from high school or divorced dad in a pickup truck and a 22-year-old girlfriend, and no, that is not a compliment. His songs that have charted are the laziest, whiny tracks involving being a white dude in a world that's hard on white men. Because yeah, the world is really hard on straight white men. Want to know how many tour dates he has coming up? 0. Zilch. Nada. Nunca. None. Z. He, like a large portion of the entertainers he associates with, is a failed creative in other realms that went right-wing when they realized the paycheck they could get. But at the end of the day, he'll never get that Grammy or that acknowledgement from real rappers. That resentment leads these inked-out Tyler Durden impersonators to take whatever mid-bars they have at their disposal and lean into hard-right politics. But before I get into that, I want to talk about the Eminem pipeline. Now, to properly describe the pipeline, I have to get into Eminem as an artist, specifically why Shady is not the GOAT. I mentioned in my little Mabu video that a large portion of Eminem's audience then and now are white folks that do not otherwise listen to hip-hop. They don't like rap, they don't like rap culture, and probably aren't that fond of minorities. But a clean-cut white face gives them safe entry into an arena that they don't even want to be at in the first place. You'll get folks that have never listened to Big Daddy Kane or Rakim call Eminem the GOAT. How can you be sure who the GOAT is if you've never listened to any of his influences or contemporaries? That's not a hip-hop audience. It's a white audience that can follow a beat with no interest in broader hip-hop culture. Plus, Eminem is doing that cringe old man thing again and making these weird bars that don't work anymore. And one of his latest tracks has a reference to spraying rounds at Kyle Rittenhouse, so Shady can really kiss my black ass. But back to the pipeline. Some of those non-hip-hop white kids that couldn't play an instrument or join a band became what Tom McDonald is. When they can play an instrument, they become 21 Pilots. Though I'm not gonna lie, that emo new metal kind of sound they cultivated ain't that bad. Their fan base, however, oof, forget about it. But again, it's the same demo of white people who only want to be hip-hop adjacent because of some assumed grittiness, a grit that's been polished out of rock music. Now, Tommy Boy really burst onto the scene doing the one thing a white rapper shouldn't do when entering a space, critiquing the culture. But of course, it was really about getting attention and maintaining a weak gimmick, but I'll get back to that later. Now, this won't be a deep dive, it's more like a kiddie pool because Tom's just that shallow. The problem with conservative rap, as I mentioned earlier, is that rap is a form for expressing, among other things, discontent with the status quo. A status quo that oppresses racial minorities and the poor, i.e., the demographic that built rap. I found a study where the lyrics of 237 underground white rappers were analyzed between 2006 and 2010. They found that white artists make fewer references to racially political and social themes, what the author terms as racial evasion. The theory is that white rappers are aware that they operate in a racialized art form and compensate by using hypermasculine tropes like violence, misogyny, and homophobia. Now does that sound like anyone we know? This is the sort of master identity, a blending into the foreground, prominent but not really a part of the overall picture. And that's another tick against a conservative rapper. Not only will they not speak on social issues, they will speak against them.
Targets that wrong, trying to play with the kids. It's the mayor of Megaville, I'm preaching again. You know the LGBTQ done went too far.
Name a single rapper worth a damn that'll make a whole rap video about Target selling gay merch. Or what about this bozo who got his kids involved?
Let the boys be boys, I don't want your woke disease. You're a cancer, I don't care about the colors in your flag. That's God's rainbow, it does not belong to the drag.
I came across two terms in my research for this video. Blackophilia and blackophobia, the former being a sort of appreciation that leans along the lines of coveting black culture, the latter being latent fears of black folks based on the same asinine prejudice that lead them to black culture in the first place. The researchers of this study argue that some white listeners live in that middle ground between fetish and fear when engaging in hip hop or other facets of urban culture. Now, what do you think happens when you mix that with an urge to rap? Well, sometimes you get the Great White Hope, Eminem, but other times you get Tom MacDonald. I mentioned earlier that he rose to prominence criticizing rap culture. His 2018 track Dear Rapper is like the Eminem song Stan if Stan was trying to get out a mixtape. It's mostly whiny, self-pitying, meandering bars about how he's getting older and hasn't made it. His first couple bars include the line,
For the day I have a chance, maybe y'all can help me out though. I'm just trying to take care of my household. I don't even want to make my mouth go.
Later lines accuse rappers of losing a thread instead of teaching it's all about partying and misogyny. And the hook includes the wonderful lines,
I don't want your Xanax bars or your fancy foreign cars. Throw your money in my face and try to tell me that it's art. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Yeah. Just a drug addict on TV.
okay, first off, fuck you, your mammy, and the person that bleaches your hair. Second, notice how he conflates every rapper that makes party music or tracks about using drugs with the multitude that don't. The dude is just a straight up fraud. Here's a review I found of one of his other songs, Hell of It. Hell of It does not change the landscape of hip hop whatsoever. Rather than advancing the genre, this type of song creates damage. McDonald displays an unprecedented type of gimmickry. Other than appearance, his movement facilitates the discussion of mumble rap versus old school hip hop. Clearly, McDonald doesn't fall within either of these categories, as his music follows cadence with logic words that make absolutely no sense. His formula uses the expression of a false sense of introspection upon a smooth and familiar beat structure. McDonald contradicts himself often. For example, he disparages drug usage but then uses a reference to it as a trendy lyric in a chorus. Fraud. If he was a true fan of rap music, Tom would know that these tracks make up a small percentage of what's getting made and that these ones are the style that get the most record label support. He doesn't understand the transitional nature of hip hop. In the 4 years since he dropped the track, Xanax has stopped being associated with rappers, and even when it was mostly with rappers who didn't make it in the industry like Lil Pump. And since that track, almost every song he releases escalates in conservative rhetoric and dog whistles, which is probably why he isn't getting any cosigns. He'll blame woke this and that, but the truth is, Tom is just a grifter with a mediocre co-opted flow. Without the politics, Tom doesn't stand out enough to justify any attention his way. And it's not like his aesthetic is a count against him. The Midwest has a few inked out white dude rappers crushing the underground circuit, dropping some honestly not terrible tracks. So there's a demo out there for him without the MAGA crap. Well, there would be if A, he had any real skill, and B, if he was from the Midwest or one of the other American small towns around the country. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You think he was a good old boy from Missouri, Illinois, maybe Michigan or something. Nope, McDonald is a Canadian that lives in LA, a place that you would assume would be off one of the places he'd want to live. But it's all about the bag. What true artist would make a song with Ben Shapiro? I'm going to say that again. Old McDonald did a track with Ben Shapiro.
Keep hating on me on the internet for my comment section all woke Karens. And I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki
He's a gimmick, locked into a character he carries as part shield and part heavy load of insecurity. He can stick to it so well because he has practiced pretending to be a badass. Before he was a hack making money off of other people's bigotries, Tom was a wrestler by the name of All Star.
2.5 years ago, probably.
Something like that.
We were like buddies before the match, so it's sort of like a friendly encounter.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, All-Star Tom McDonald making his way to the ring.
Now, wrestling fans will understand the term kayfabe, which in its simplest terms is staying in character whenever in public or interacting with media or fans. So basically, he's sad boy John Cena. The idea of the conservative rapper is an oxymoron. You cannot be a conservative rapper. You can rhyme over a beat. You can be a bigot emulating a culture you hate but secretly want to be a part of, but you cannot be a rapper. Matter of fact, any MAGA adjacent clown with a notepad is a slam poet. That's all it really is. Slam poetry from grown men who never really evolved past the 10th grade. It's paradoxical to claim to be part of an art form that firmly stands against most of his rhetoric. Conservative rapper makes as much sense as vegan cannibal. Tom McDonald is just chasing a bag the easiest way he knows how. Working the crowd. Too bad it doesn't work on anyone that takes rap seriously.